Prof, I would like to ask you this question, Professor Magnus. If you look at this National Development Plan, out of the six clusters, we have human capital. Interestingly, we have seen government start talking about this human capital development. Now, what role will human capital development play in the future of Nigeria's economy?
Well, I think that it plays a most critical role, a central role, because it is human beings that drive the economy. It's not the vegetation, it's not the topography, it is persons, it's the human resources. And if you have to invest anywhere, the number one place we should be looking at is in these human beings, is in the human resources. Then that means we need to identify, it seems to me, and say, what kinds of skills do we think we need at this stage of our development and at this stage of global competition? When we look at the world today, where should we deploy our skills? What kinds of skills should we have the most? I think, for example, that technology should be an area that we look at. In terms of software development, I think that we have seen from the abilities of our young people that they can be globally competitive. And if we were to encourage them to do that, supporting them, investing in them, they could sit here in Abuja or in any village in Nigeria and be doing work for somebody in New York, in London, in Singapore, and wherever. So, because these guys, they produce the mainframe computers and all of those kind of things, even this new battery-operated cars, whatever, we could do software for them. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's a relatively easy sort of way to get entry into the global market space. And I think we should be kind of specific when we're looking at that. Then there's this issue of tax-specific human capital. Okay, so he didn't go to school because he got a good many, or a large amount of the population in Nigeria today that are functionally illiterate, at least illiterate in the big global languages of commerce. And if that's the case, but can they not do some arts and craft that you can polish and sell overseas? There are certain things that you could train them to do. So we can have tax-specific human capital activities for these kinds of people so that we are optimizing our human resource capabilities. So I think, to me, we should, in terms of human capital, we should be very intentional, we should be very clear about what we want to achieve. That is to say, these are the areas that we are looking at.
So, Prof, you just mentioned human capital development. And I think, looking at the statistics, Nigeria, the human capital index for Nigeria is 0.36. And if you look at what does this mean, actually, it means that Nigeria is operating at just 36% of its full potential. Now, Professor Uche, I would like to ask you, what do you think about what role can this play if we are operating at this level at 36% of our potential? What do you think, or what is your assessment, and what role will it play in the future of Nigeria?
Well, when you say human capital development, education is just one component. You also have health as another component. So basically, it's education and health. And often, people also talk about intervention, social interventions. Okay, so to what extent is the government pursuing education, health, and then social intervention? So all these make up, the human, capital. But of course, education is key. Even before I mention that, on the issue of industrialization, you see, you can't talk about industrialization without enabling infrastructure. Okay, so that point is noted. I'm sure, of course, the government recognizes that. It's also recognized in the National Development Plan. Infrastructure, particularly power. So even if you want to set up skills acquisition centers, those centers will require power to function. Isn't that so? So that's why enabling infrastructure is critical. Security is critical because you can't do human capital development. You can't say you want to set up skill acquisition centers in the Northeast, for example. We know the challenges we are facing in the Northeast, insecurity. So security is very key. Infrastructure is very key. When you have this enabling, okay, you can also now pursue the issue of skill acquisition. Look at the number of people which will churn into the labor market every year. On the average, 600, going by numbers, recent numbers, 600,000 graduates. Okay, our universities today, churn out 600,000 on an annual basis. Now that's excluding, people in other tertiary institutions. So that will give you an idea of the number of people that come into the labor market, and how many job opportunities do we have, particularly in the government sector. They are not there. That is the more reason emphasis should be on skill acquisition. Our graduates should be able to finish and stand on their own.
Lastly, in this segment, Prof, I would like to ask you, we are going into an election year soon, and what is the outlook for Nigeria? What should we look forward to? Yes.
I like this question. I try to be optimistic. I try to look at a bottle as half full rather than half empty. And I also want to share my optimism with Nigerians. That the outlook is bright. Let's not despair. But the reality really is that each time we approach election years, okay, politics begins to trump the economy. Economy takes the back seat. Yeah. That's the fear. So as the government, this government has between now and up till May next year to do whatever they want to do. Because from May next year, when primaries, election is February of 2023, and primaries will start, I understand, May, June, July, politics will start heating up. Okay? Some of these government officials will now begin to be involved in politics, because either they are contesting, or they have people that are contesting, or they have interests. Yeah. Okay? And they will no longer have time for, government activities. So the tendency, what we usually experience is once politics begins to pick up now, you're expecting that your file will be treated or whatever. Okay, so files now stay on tables of ministers and so on, government officials, because they are busy, doing politics. You understand? So that's usually the fear. And again, you also note that about that time too, towards the end of next year, what we also experience, penultimate year and election year, exchange rate begins to go up. Okay, and that's because again you find politicians are demanding dollars. Yes, these days they play politics with dollars rather than naira. So when you get to a point where the economy is dollarized, the demand for dollar is high. Okay, again that affects exchange rate. That also affects the inflation rate, because when they get the dollar, okay, whatever naira that is available, they use it to change to dollar. Is that not so? And then you have high exchange rate, high inflation rate. So macroeconomic variables that appear to be stable now, my fear is that towards the end of next year, up till early next year, they will all, reverse.